Hey everybody, it's Jeff here from Jazzwire. Welcome. So we're going to do something that I don't know that I've ever done, which is share with you one of our Jazzwire lessons from this week. So Jazzwire, subscription platform that I've been running now for 6 years. We have hundreds of subscribers, historically from 25 different countries. And we're working at all sorts of different levels. So each week there are 3 different lessons, one at a novice level. So this week we're working on Equinox. Let's share that lesson with you guys this week. So at a more novice level, the Coltrane song Equinox. In the red community, more intermediate level, we're doing an Ellington tune called Angelica. In the advanced blue community, we're doing the song 26-2 by John Coltrane. And then we have a 4th community that anybody can tune into. It's called the Black Diamond community. If you're a skier, you know what that means. Yikes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is share with you the lesson that's going to be coming out this week in all the communities. Now, all the subscribers in Jazzwire can attend any of the lessons. They're always done on video, like what you're going to see. And then we get to work together on what the lesson was talking about. So often the lessons include a PDF. There's always the lead sheet to the song is part of it. But the idea of giving some important lessons at that ability level, at that skill level, and then we work together. Now, over the course of Jazzwire, we have about 350 different lessons over about 100 different songs. 100 songs. So whatever song you need to learn, you're going to play at a jam session, you just got your butt kicked on, we've probably done it inside Jazzwire, or we're going to be doing it this year. So it's an incredible resource. So I want you to tune in here to the green community lesson on the song Equinox. We always do 3 lessons on a given song. This is the middle lesson. This is the 2nd lesson. So we've already had our preliminary lesson on the song and some assignments. And so now I want to dig a little deeper into how a novice player can start taking the tools that they've been told to build. Hey, learn your chord tones. Hey, learn your scales. And how do we start making that into actual music? How do the pros do it? That's what we're talking about here in this lesson. So check it out. And of course, if you're interested in taking the free trial and see all of these lessons that I'm talking about, 30-day free trial, why not, right? So jump into that. And of course, I'd love to work with you more intimately, more personally inside Jazzwire. I hope I'll see you there. Enjoy the lesson. Hey there, green community. Welcome to the lesson this week. Let's continue on working with Equinox, and we're going to do some kind of cool support ideas here on what we can do to improvise kind of better, more effectively on Equinox. So what I mean by that is a very straightforward idea that I'm not sure how many of us practice. Now, when I was in 7th grade band or 8th grade band or 9th grade band, after you in band for a couple years and had a bit of technical facility, you were asked to play scales in thirds. Maybe there was a little etude in the book, and maybe the assignment was C minor concert scale in thirds. Now, that isn't music, but it's about music, right? It's a building block of music. It's a pattern. That distinction of music versus something that's about music. So a lot of the times we will practice things that are about music. They're patterns or they're support. They're things that make us more effective on our instrument, that tune our ears, do all these things. So now we have tools to make actual music. And now these things, these patterns, these ideas convert into music pretty well. And I have a PDF to share with you, an etude to go through shortly. But this idea of scales in thirds. So I just played the C Aeolian scale. So that would be C minor in the key signature that you have on your sheet. So those folks looking in concert see C minor with 3 flats. C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C. So relative to the root, it's got a flat third, that makes it minor. It has a flat 6 and a flat 7. That's what makes it Aeolian mode or pure minor mode. the key signature in the song would be another way to put it. It doesn't even matter what you call it. It's the key signature of the song. So if you're like me playing in D minor, if you're a B flat instrument, we see one flat in the key signature. Again, D, E, F natural, that's a minor third. G, A, B flat, C natural. That gives us flat 6, flat 7 in whatever key we're in, right? Alto, baritone, sax players, you're in A minor. You see no key signature. A, B, C natural is the flat third. D, E, F natural, G natural is the flat 6, flat 7 relative to the root. So there we go. So the Aeolian scale. So there are other minor scales we could use. We could use Dorian, we could use others, but let's use this. It's the key of the scale, or key of the song. So what I'd love for you to do is practice, start practicing your minor scales. How about pick 2 of them? In other words, the first chord on your lead sheet, C minor concert, and F minor concert. I would love for you to be really facile with that, really, under your fingers, really easy. Now, you may need to write it out on staff paper. You may need to write out just on typewriter paper. A typewriter, yeah, I use that word. And you may literally write C, and then E flat, and then D, and then F. Whatever you need to do, or maybe you can just kind of imagine it. Stair steps, right? Go up 2 stairs, come down 1 stair. Go up 2 stairs, come down 1 stair. C, E flat, D, F. Or the arithmetic pattern, 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, 5, 4, 6. That's the pattern. It's kind of fascinating, right? Like that simple pattern that we presume quite a young child, if you say 1, 3, 2, 4, 3, fill in the blank, and that they could imagine the rest of that pattern, or they could recognize what it is. And so that's a pattern, and it's abstract, right? It's numbers. But maybe we could visualize stairs. Go up to the 3rd stair, go down to the 2nd stair, jump up to the 4th stair, step down to the 3rd stair. But it has a sound. When we applied it to Aeolian, that abstract mathematical thing gives us a sound that's a lot like music. It's fascinating to me. Apply it to a major scale, and now we get a different sound because the notes now have different accidentals, right? So that would be a great thing to get under your fingers. And now let me say this. Play it in 8th notes. So I want you to think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Eighth notes. And now you may have to build up to that. You may not be able to do that today or tomorrow or this week, but you'll get it up to 8th notes, maybe faster 8th notes. The reason I mention that is in the community, I heard some posts, I've heard this hundreds of times in Jazzwire, so I'm not calling any one particular person out or any 5 particular people. We want to, jazz moves in 8th notes. There you go, I said it, jazz moves in 8th notes. Sure, there are triplets, sure, there are 16th notes, yes, there are half notes, but jazz moves, ba-do, ba-do, da-do, da-da, da-da, ba-do, ga-da, right? A lot of people feel like maybe that's too slow. They want to move faster, so they move in triplets. Ba ba da 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 da, because that's how fast their fingers go. They don't mean to play triplets. You're probably not even aware you're playing triplets. You're just playing at a pace that's with the beat. But it's a weird pace. It's an accent that it's not really how people talk. Right? That would be a way to put it. It's weird. It's off-putting. It doesn't sound like you're from around here. It's all that, right? And of course, we're here to sound like we're convincing, right? So the idea of 8th notes. So for some of us, we need to kind of slow down to the 8th notes. And when we slow down, it's got a weird anxious feel because we're not used to playing there. So we have to, maybe playing at 8th notes isn't hard to create the rhythm, but it's hard to make it feel good. And that's the work we're going to do. I had a master's degree in 8 years of college before anyone pointed this out to me that I had to do this work. Oops. So yeah, don't feel bad if this sounds like, whoa, that's pretty remedial, and I think I'm that person. Well, yeah, sometimes we're remedial after getting our advanced degree in this stuff. So I wanted to point that out. And so the scales in thirds are going to be a really great tool for you to practice these eighth notes. So let's do this. Let's look at this etude. All right, so on the sheet, maybe it looks like it's sort of two different etudes, number one, number two, but they connect, so it's actually a two-chorus solo. So let me do this. I'm going to play it for you first, and you probably get the joke here. The first chorus, the first 12 measures, is using thirds a lot, sort of scale built in thirds, and maybe you'll see that shape. You'll start to recognize what it looks like on paper. And then the second one is using the minor pentatonic scale. If you have questions about thirds, minor pentatonic, anything, please don't sit on it. Please jump into the community and ask the question, and I or one of your peers will answer. Minor pentatonic sounds like this. This is C minor pentatonic. It's a 5-note scale, and the recipe is 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, and then up to the root. 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7 are the 5 notes, and then we go to the root. It doesn't count as a 6th note because it's the same. We already have had that pitch. Minor pentatonic. That is a really, really great, important scale for us to know. So that would be another great one to run as eighth notes. 1, 2. All around the instrument. So let me do this. I'm going to put on a track for Equinox. We're playing in C minor here, of course. And I'm going to play this etude, and we'll talk a little bit about it on the other side. By the way, I was using a track from Jazzwire. Owen posted that on January 18th, just in the previous lesson, kind of early in that flow. And it doesn't have the greatest feel, groove and all that, but it's something he found. He said the same thing, maybe not the greatest groove, but it has the rhythm of Equinox, which of course iReal Pro won't provide for us. So let's look at this etude a little bit. As you can see, the first, I guess it's 3 measures. Boo, boo, ba, da, do, ba, da, do, ba, do, ba, do. It's the scale in thirds, literally going up past the octave. So the whole first measure, the whole second measure, all of the third measure, except for the very last note, is literally a scale in thirds. But I messed with the rhythm. Instead of having it be solid eighth notes, I started off with quarter, eighth, eighth, quarter, eighth, eighth, quarter, and that makes it sound more like music. So it didn't sound like a pattern or an exercise, black tile, white tile, black tile, white tile, black tile, white tile. It looks great in a bathroom, and it's wonderful design, and it's classic, and it brings up these memories and images and all that. Is it art? No, we'd actually have to alternate those tiles in different ways, or maybe not even alternate. We'd create a pattern, we'd create a mosaic. Now it's getting to be art and not design. Cool. So by taking that simple pattern, I can make a melody. I can start making art, right? And when I said that last note in measure 3, I broke the pattern. Yes, instead of going down, I went up another third. The last 3 notes in measure 3 is a third and then another third. It's still thirds. I just used the pattern differently, right? And then the second line, I started coming down the scale in thirds. I didn't start on the root. We don't have to start on the root. So you can see on the second line, the fifth down to third, then the fourth down to the second. Then, let me change direction, the third back up to the fifth. And then my fourth iteration, I decided I'm not going to do a third. I've set up all this expectation of thirds. I'm hearing something else. I want something else. So I broke the pattern. Breaking a pattern can be really, really cool. That pattern got me through essentially 6 measures of this song. Think about it. When I decided for the first 3 measures, I'm going to use this pattern and I'm just going to change the rhythm. That's deep. So here's what happened. Every note was predetermined. After I played the 5th note, did I have to decide what the 6th note would be? No, it comes from the pattern. If I know the pattern, if I practiced it, if I've got it in my brain and under my fingers, the note is foretold. It's predetermined. All I have to do is decide, am I going to play it, as 8th notes the way I practiced it, or will I mess with the rhythm? That is so deep. The notes are chosen for you. And in a way, I was going to say you don't have to memorize them. I didn't memorize this solo. It's a pattern I know. It's a thing I know. So I didn't have to improvise. I didn't have to put it out on the line there. The notes were predetermined. And so I was just sort of playing around with the rhythm, or should I leave a little space, or should I adjust the direction we're going, or something like that. Really big deal. So look in the measure 3 of the second line. We can see if, maybe you see those are diatonic triads. Maybe you know what that is, maybe not, but either way. Up a third, down a third, down a third. Up a third, down a third. Measure 3 and 4 of the second line. It's all thirds, right? How about the 4th line? All thirds. And then the next measure, I jump and play a third, and then I change it just a little bit. But they're chord tones. They're all chord tones, right? And then 2 from the end. We can see there's a little third in there, another third, another third. So I'm mixing and matching a little bit as I get towards the end. But what would the percentage be? 85, 90% of this is thirds. And so the notes were sort of foretold to me a little bit. Pretty deep. Let me play that one more time, just the first part. All right. So maybe the first time you realized when somebody made a coin disappear, it was actually just like right back here behind their finger, or when they pulled it out of your ear, it was actually there. When you sort of see how a magic trick's done, and it's like cool and shocking and disappointing each time. But to me, when I see how a magician does a trick, what I'm seeing is hours of work and boatloads of technique, right? They practiced and practiced and practiced to make that look amazing. So now that you know how I did this magic trick, whether it's the world's greatest solo or not, when you see how I got there, it's like, really? You mean that was pretty much not improvised? Or that was just some stuff you knew that you play. Hopefully it has that feel, because that is how pretty much all or most improvising happens. This is what it's like behind the scenes, not unlike a magic trick. Okay, so if we look at the second part, number 2, the minor pentatonic chorus, the entire first line of that thing is using the C minor, or the tonic, whatever key you're in, minor pentatonic. And it begins with the 2 pickups, the last 2 notes at the end of the third line into number 2. Every note minor pentatonic. And here's the thing, it's a pattern. Da ba da dot, 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 ba, da, da. It's another pattern. Start somewhere, start on a stair, go up a stair, come back to the stair. Go down a stair, go up, go down. Go down a stair, go up, go down. Go down a stair, go up, go down. That's what that is. So it took a little while to get into it before that exact pattern started. Boo ba da do da da. So I started there, but it started in that first measure. And now what happens in the second line? Start on a stair, go down, come up. Go up a stair, go down, go back to where you started. Now, I will say, when the chord changed to the 4 chord, to F minor concert, I changed to F minor pentatonic. So I did change the scale there. But again, practically every note was foretold, every pitch. Oh, should I play an E or an E flat? Well, no, not an E. That's not even allowed. It has to be E flat, if we're in C minor, right? It has to be E flat. Well, should I play an E flat or a D? There's no Ds in this scale. Don't play a D, not allowed. It has to be an E flat. Should I play an E flat or an F in C minor? Well, what does the pattern tell you? The pattern tells you so you don't have to make any decisions. Again, if you know what's done. The magician isn't making decisions as they're doing the trick. They are performing something that they've done honestly 2,000 or 3,000 times before you're seeing it right now to make it look fluid, right? And so that's what's happening here. So that's kind of what's going on. So be looking for little shapes and patterns here. So hopefully that's sort of a way to tell how you get from here, where you're at. You know these scales, you know the chord tones, you've been playing them for me. You maybe know minor pentatonic, and yet it doesn't sound like music yet. Possibly we're rushing things and we're still learning the foundational stuff, and so the music is coming. It's around the corner, right? So it could be, we're just not there yet. Why am I not an Olympic skier yet? You're not quite ready, right? So, maybe it's that. But hopefully now you see how we get there and how musicians can use patterns. And we've talked lots about vocabulary and licks. A lick isn't a pattern, right? When I, give you a sentence, to be or not to be. It's not exactly a pattern, but it's a really nice sentence that we can memorize, and it has this historical significance and all of that kind of stuff. But maybe there is a little pattern in there, to be or not to be. Right? It's so memorable because the way Shakespeare plays with the language, right? The words to be and how they get repeated very soon after. So that one does have a bit of a pattern to it, but we wouldn't say that is a pattern with language. We would say that is great literature. It stands on its own. It's not just a pattern of words. Cool. All right. So I hope this is helpful. Love to have a lot of discussions about this. And so as you are listening to great players, I want you to be aware that it's not magic. I want you to be aware that maybe they're special, maybe they have some aptitudes or something, but they worked on this stuff. They internalized the language and the patterns. Now, the special part that maybe fill in the blank player that you love had is they were fast. They processed it so fast, or they heard it so quickly, or what they then did with the pattern was just, the intuition was just so fantastic that no one else had made that leap. So that would be the special part. And certainly people's brains work differently, and we think differently, and we improvise differently, but people process language more or less the same, I think, from what I've read. And so that's what we're doing here. All right, I'm going to play a little bit for you on the way out. Be excited to hear you work on this etude, but most importantly, understanding the ideas behind it. All right, have a great week.